Hello, welcome back to the Prestige TV podcast feed. I'm Joanna Robinson. Joining me today, back again, the beautiful Mallory Rubin. Hello, Mallory. How are you doing?
Once again, I'd like to say it is the honor, privilege, and thrill of my life to be here with you today to talk about this wonderful television program. Thank you for the invitation.
We got some incredible feedback from listeners. They were thrilled to have you here to talk about episode 5. We are here, of course, to talk about episode 6, the finale of season 1, The Cottage, written and directed as every episode is by Jacob Tierney. I want to start here, Mallory Rubin.
Tell me.
With my deepest apologies to Una Hollander, Shane's mom, who last week I was like, I don't know if she'll be cool with it and she'll be all worried about this, that, and the other thing. I apologize. Una, I did not know your game. I did not know who you were, your character, and I wasn't aware. So my apologies. I also want to flag, this is I don't know why it took me this long, but this is the first episode where I realized that Dylan Walsh, who plays Shane's dad,
Nip Tuck.
I don't know why I just did not register with me until I was a little distracted by other things going on, I guess, on the show. But here we are.
Naturally.
In Nip Tuck verse. And then last but not least, sort of as a preamble, I want to mention a friend of the pod, Katie Rich, wrote a really great piece over on the Ankler about Heated Rivalry's Emmys chances and why it actually is not eligible for an Emmy because it's a Canadian production and it doesn't have a US co-pro. Anyway, Katie's agenda, and I would just like to invite everyone to join her, is to basically pressure the Television Academy to change the eligibility rules and or encourage HBO to figure out a workaround. She's like, so surely campaigners as savvy as HBO can figure out a workaround around this. So
I'm glad we're starting here because this is, I mean, I can't wait to talk about everything in the finale in the season, obviously, but this was also top of my list because this led me to gasp aloud in horror at the prospect that this wonderful television show that is beautifully written, filmed, and performed might not be recognized at the Emmys. Part of my thought, because it's late December, is just like, listen, the content game on the internet, we all know how it works. You're planning, you're scheduling. Everyone gets ahead on their year-end list. Fine. I'm like, with respect to everybody's holiday plans, I would like all of the internet to collectively agree to redo our best of the year lists to get Heated Rivalry where it needs to be. And then spend a day or two on that.
Yeah. And then
to the Emmy
campaign, the Television Academy.
Charge.
Okay. All right. Well, here's my question. And so I should say, programming wise, this episode, this Heated Rivalry finale episode coming out this week, this holiday week. Rob and I also have our Pluribus finale pod this week, and we also have like a mailbag component to that. So we will be talking about sort of like some of our best shows of the year, and I will preview that.
This is why you're the best.
Heated Rivalry is on my list. And if I am wearing the same shirt in both of those podcasts, none of your business. Don't worry about it.
Remember like the one day that we had, I want to say something like 11 hours of House of the Dragon podcasts in a row or something like that. And maybe like a Rings of Power pod on the same day. Yeah. One day we did outfit changes at the office. And since then we haven't bothered. It's you know true. What? Sometimes we have multiple recordings in a row, and that's just how it goes. So I support you and no outfit change. I did wear my Shoresy jersey today. It's not a hockey sweater. It's a baseball jersey, but it is Shoresy.
It's in the Tierney-verse, and so we support it. Where would you put Heated Rivalry on your list of top shows of the year?
Oh boy. Classic me to introduce this into the conversation and then be unprepared to follow it through.
You don't have to have your whole list.
It would be in my top 10 shows of the year, no question.
Yeah. Would it be like, is it in like 1 through 5, or do you think it's more in like 5 through? I put it in like the 5 through 10 range personally, though I really love it, obviously.
I'll maybe by the end of the pod, I'll have a formal ranking set. Certainly Andor is my favorite show of the year. That's obviously locked. Clearly. Right. No question.
Yeah.
I would probably have this somewhere in the like 5 to 7 range if I'm going off the dome here. But I think like, no question, it's one of the shows that I've loved watching the most this year and have like enjoyed and appreciated the most. No question, it's one of the shows that people, as we talked about last pod, in our lives and the world have been celebrating and sharing with each other. It has just sparked something so undeniable that I think it's like inextricable part of thinking about television and pop culture this year. So it would just have to be there for all of those reasons.
Last night I was rewatching, I watched the finale in the afternoon, and then I rewatched it last night after making Diana, who I live with, binge all of 1 through 5, like over the last couple nights, so that she could watch the finale with me. So we did that. And while I was watching the finale, both Justin Sayles, who does incredible production work on this feed, and a pal of mine who's a publicist for another TV network, were both sort of sending us texts about catching up with Heated Rivalry. And it really felt, I was just I haven't felt this eye of the storm sort of catching up in real time excitement about a show in a long time. So it made me, and so this is a great year for television, honestly, really, really great year for television. But this moment, and part of it is it's the end of the year. There's, Stranger Things is happening, but there's not a ton of competition. Pluribus, of course, is happening, but and it's just one of those it feels like one of those Squid Game surprise end of year. Nobody saw this coming. Everyone gets excited about it. There's something about not planning for it, but being hit by it at the end of the year when you're winding down and you just want to get absorbed into something that feels, Squid Game is pretty murdery, but something that feels kind of cozy or absorbing or, that sort of stuff. So, I'm loving this moment in the culture, and I'm sad that it's over,
Me too. That was one of the first things that we texted about. I was a few hours behind you watching the finale last night because I had to see Monday Night Football through and ensure that I knocked our colleague Danny Heifetz out of the fucking playoffs. Beat Heifetz in the Ringer Fantasy Football League semifinals. Got him out of there. I'm in the finals against fellow Shoresy head CR, Chris Ryan himself. What a time.
CR and MR outlasting all the football bros into the finals makes me so happy.
Chris knocked out Danny Kelly and I knocked out Danny Heifetz. Really, really, just a wonderful,
it's really good.
Few days.
I have been a one agenda voter on this whole draft that you guys have been doing, which is I'm Team Rubin the whole way. And so I feel really, really good about myself right now.
It's been really fun. So I was just watching every Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor carry chip away at my lead in terror. Really intense emotional turmoil for a few hours. The euphoric high of confirming that I had beaten Heifetz and made it to the final, and then 51 minutes of just pure bliss watching this finale. And one of the first things that we texted each other about was the abject despair that it was over.
Something that I thought was really, I didn't, as I told you when I watched it before you watched it, is I didn't want to tell you anything about it, not even a single nod in any direction, because you're so good at reading the tea leaves of my reaction to things. And so I didn't want to say oh my God, it's such a good time, because I think the tension of this episode of will everything go wrong is important. So I didn't want to be I feel great, sunshine and puppies or whatever. Yeah. So I wanted to try to preserve that for you. But the one thing I think I did say was I didn't want to leave it. Yeah. And the gift that Jacob Tierney gives us at the end of this episode is the closing credits, to just getting to sit in the backseat of the car with them. Perfection. And I just let the whole thing roll, obviously, because I was I'm just going to clock every gesture, every glance until there's none left for me to clock. And I just thought it was a perfect ending for a world that we, all of us, I think, want to linger longer in. And
I agree too. Obviously just witnessing the little gestures, the touching of the cheek, the reaching across to put a hand on a leg, all of that. But what it captures on the spoilers, obviously from the episode, on the heels of this massive seminal moment in their relationship and in Shane's life, there was something about the routine nature on the heels of something life altering. That's you're just driving home now, right?
Exactly.
And to be with them for multiple minutes, and just the rhythm of the day and the rhythm of a new life was
and the sort of
I really thought the perfect final note.
Golden future that they're driving towards. And also and this is something that, Shane brought up at the beginning of the episode of just I do just want to relax with you for the first time. And this opportunity to just be.
Yes.
Not a furtive assignation or we only have, this night or this 24 hours or whatever it is. It's just we can just be. You can just sit and watch the sunrise, and I can bring you a blanket and a cup of coffee. We can just be here. And my my secondhand anxiety, because I don't know if Shane felt this way, but like I have a lot of anxiety when I like host people and stuff like that. I have a lot of anxiety of being like one-on-one with people. I get like social anxiety about it. Barring, there's some like few exceptions. You're certainly an exception, but like in general, that gives me anxiety.
Yeah, sure.
And then there's always the question of like, is this a person I can just hang out with? Or am I going to forever be in the like stressful like hosting space? So Shane in the initial like car ride and like very initial like tour of the house, this sort of like, I got food, there's Coke for you, the water's good here, like
I have my own well,
like all this sort of stuff like that. Until sort of like the first kiss and the I haven't slept with anyone since the last time we slept together sort of moment. And then they're into the sort of like bellhop play acting, sex, like whatever from there. But like that initial tension of like, is this a relationship? Like we've been texting for years, we've been having sex for years, but is this like, can I just be with this person? Can I just sit and look at a fire? He's going to tell me it's boring, but like then he's not going to want to leave, like it's that all of that being captured here, that anxiety about it, and then the comfort and ease and joy of it was really important to me.
I really agree. I thought this episode was, and it's a hard thing to do, period, and to capture well, but it's a very hard thing to do inside of a relationship that has spanned in its evolution a decade inside of these 6 episodes. Like obviously when you are about to be intimate with somebody physically, that's scary, that's vulnerable, that's taking a step in your relationship. But to your point, capturing the different type of intimacy of like, this is just what it's like to spend a day with me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like going to go use the bathroom now. And like, one of the little moments that I loved well before we get to the I love you, which just had me in fucking tears. I cried multiple times in this episode. I was weeping like a baby, like in 3 distinct parts of this episode. And I thought it was just so lovely and so beautiful. But just the waking up together that first morning. And it's just like, you think of the rhythm of their relationship where it's so often like, are we in the same city as each other? Are we at an all-star game together? Right? Are we at an event together? Is it an award?
Do we have practice? Is there a meeting I have to get to? Like,
can we sneak something in? Or like, even if there's more time, like, okay, I am going to go now. And that's just like newfound intimacy of we woke up together and the good morning, just exchanging a good morning and the I like you before I love you. Like all of that just felt so great. And I think that the show, while obviously being across the 6 episode run, extremely sexy and also deeply moving. I don't want to downplay how funny the show has been. And the way throughout this episode that classic like humor was stitched in, you mentioned already the like boring car and okay, is that what we're going to do? Relax? Or like, oh my God, Canada's so fun at the fire. We're just going to sit here and look at the fire. Like all of that humor.
But also like wolf bird, like, like the loon reaction. You speak bird now? Like, okay.
That was great. Yeah. I loved the like, is that where you get your looks from your mom, half of them? And like, how about your dad? Like, is that where you get the boring from? Like, that's
but like remembering from years ago, like, oh, your dad reads the New Yorker. You know what I mean? Like, this is a conversation they had literally years ago. So I did want to ask you, you've already mentioned like a few highlights for yourself, but like I have like only 3 pointed questions for you that I sent over to prepare you for this episode. Otherwise, we're going to have like a fairly free-form conversation. I do have a couple emails that I want to get to, but I wanted to ask you, was there like a small detail from this episode that particularly stuck out to you?
There were, yes. And I think there were big, bold, gripping moments across the episode, but there were, one of the reasons that I think this will be an episode that I think about a lot and that really like lasts in its impact is actually because of those little tender, quiet moments. I mean, I do think that Ilya, the tears leading to the quiet Russian whispers into the I love you, that's not a minor moment, but that was like just a breathtakingly beautiful sequence to me. On the minor, quieter, smaller, subtler moments front, I think my number one pick here is the evening shot where they're both on the couch and they're looking at their phones and then we see like their toes are touching. It's just one of those perfect details that captures people who have moved into a different phase of like a shared
Intimacy,
experience
yeah.
with each other. I thought that was so wonderful. And then there was like kind of a maybe like a sister moment to that was on the drive over to after Shane's dad has seen them, and Shane is
freaking
very
out.
anxious, and they're driving over, and he's got his hand on the gear shift on the Prindle of the, by the way, Land Rover. Nothing to mock about a Land Rover, but Ilya will be Ilya. Gotta respect it. And Shane is so anxious, and his fingers are just like tapping. He's restless, and he's scared. He says, like, this is my fucking nightmare. And just the way Ilya reaches over and just like quiets his fear with that little gesture of comfort and support, just that way with his hand to say, like, I'm here. And no matter what, I will be here. And then the toe touch under the table, which calls back to the
press conference.
The foot touch at the press conference. So those little like foot and hand touches moments, those little touches, I loved.
There was a moment, I don't know if your parents ever like shared this with you, observing you and Adam, but I definitely remember like a time that my parents like observed me with a guy that I was dating, and like, they were like, oh, he like kissed you on the top of your head, and we just like, and I didn't even notice it happened, but they were just like, to them that mattered. So watching Ilya comfort Shane at the kitchen table, and more importantly watching his parents watch him do that
was great.
Really got to me. That was just like such a beautiful moment. My little moment actually comes from that same toe touching scene, but so the first time I watched it, Ilya is lying on the couch there. Shane is sitting up on the other side. And I was like, this is so interesting. I've been like sort of observing their wardrobe. And I was like, Ilya has been in these like black tank tops that I've talked about. We've talked about Shane hiring a stylist, like all that sort of stuff like that. But he was wearing something. I was like, this is so like soft and cozy for him. Like, this is just not a look that we've seen him in. Then when I rewatched the episode, I realized he's wearing Shane's shirt. Shane wears it in the burger eating scene. And like when I rewatched the episode and we got to the burger scene, I like gasped because I was like, that's the shirt he's wearing later. That I was like, that doesn't look like an Ilya shirt because he's wearing Shane's shirt. And that's just like a beautiful little like, we're here, we're sharing clothes, we're like, being cozy together moment. So that really stuck out to me.
I love that.
Okay. So let us, one thing I want to mention that I didn't, before, just to sort of like a reaction to episode 5 table setter that I wanted to say is we did get an email from listeners that, let us know that in the books, Scott Hunter is actually in his 20s. And so this premise that we talked about last week of like Scott Hunter towards the end of his career, the stakes are different, is not really the case in the book. That Scott is like a little older than them, like in his late 20s or something like that, sort of when they start, but not, Francois Arnault is in his 40s. So that's like a different, and the whole conversation about how washed Scott Hunter is and all this sort of stuff like that. And so, I thought that was an interesting sort of tweak of that premise. But what did you think about starting this episode with Scott's press conference?
I thought, first of all, it was a pleasant surprise because I wasn't totally sure we would see Scott and Kip again, just knowing that the episode was called The Cottage, and like, Jacob Tierney talking about how this was really going to be like a two-hander of an episode and really fully like rooted around and centered around Shane and Ilya. So I just liked the connective tissue across the episodes. I mean, obviously we're going to get in the conversation at the end with Ilya and Shane and Shane's parents. We get that Shane's dad, David, asking like, have you guys talked to Scott?
Yeah.
And I liked that was actively invoked, and that Shane's like, no. And then Ilya says he has, and he's like, not about us, but that moment. And he says it changed things for me, at least, and maybe for us. And so it felt really appropriate to open with that speech at the awards ceremony, not only because it's like emotionally rewarding for us as viewers of the show to get to see Scott say what he says and see Kip receive it and hear him say, I love you. And to hear that he was like, both the acknowledgement of like growing up, I love hockey, but growing up in hockey culture where you hear these insults and these slurs thrown around, and like, and the way that he talked about how when you have a secret like that for so long, it's exhausting, but also just so lonely. Like, it was just a perfect, I thought, opening note for the episode to remind us of that context and where we are. And then it's we get to have that kind of closure of Scott and Kip, that beautiful I love you with them, and all of that is in the backdrop as we watch Ilya and Shane take the next step in their relationship. And we talked last week how like it would feel appropriate for for the progression for the next step in Shane's life to most likely be coming out to his parents before something like more public and for the entire world or their teams or something like that. So that all felt right.
The show did a great job of dropping the like crumbs of like parents' house nearby. Like this is just the only nearby threat to this little bubble that they've created themselves.
The great, like I told them I'm on like a silent retreat. And like, really good. It's like for anyone else that would seem like a lie, but for you, like maybe people believe it. That's great.
So on the Scott Hunter front, I will say that, something that Richard and I had talked about was like how we weren't constantly confronted with like seeing deeply homophobic culture in the locker room, that wasn't something that the show was just like really driving home for us, that was something that like Dan Levy talked about in Schitt's Creek, that he didn't want like the people of the town of Schitt's Creek to be like deeply homophobic and stuff like that. Like that's just like there's plenty of that out there. This is not what the show is.
No question.
And we got like a little pushback from listeners on that, where they were like, well, here are some like sort of hallmarks of that without having people drop like horrifying slurs inside of a scene or something like that. But I think Scott talking about his experience, rather than having to see it, hearing Scott talk about his experience of coming up in the world, Ilya's brother calls him the F slur and stuff like that.
Does.
That happens. But like, Scott saying like, I'm that bad word, I'm that insult that people throw around, and we know exactly like what that is. And so I thought that was a really good way to underline, the environment that they are coming up in, which we've gotten like sort of little signposts of, but I thought that was a really good moment. Okay. As I mentioned, part of the listeners have been pretty good about not dropping book spoilers, as we've made it really clear we haven't read the books. I will say one person wrote in being like, Joanna, you read romance novels, you know how this book is going to end. And I was like, okay, well, I guess it's a happily ever after. I do know. That's a romance novel. This is not a season 1 of television. We need to end on a dramatic, sad cliffhanger and figure out how to resolve it in season 2. This was a contained book, even inside of a series. So yes, it ends with us driving into a golden future, even though there will surely be obstacles awaiting for us in season 2. So I was like, okay, that took a little bit of the tension on me, but it was still watching this episode. The tension of like, is Ilya going to freak out? Is Shane going to freak out? Is Shane going to freak out so badly when his parent, when his dad shows up? That's shot almost like a horror movie when they're like, you're inside the house watching them come up the walk and the camera's panning slowly over and that someone's there just based on like where the camera is. And so, and like you could tell it's his dad probably from the like silhouette. And so, is that going to freak out Shane so badly that he's going to blow this up? But it's not. And when I was watching it with Diana last night, she turned to me, she's like, did Jacob Turney just decide that we all needed just a nice show where people are happy at the end of the year? And I was like, well, I mean, I think that's the text of the book. But this is just, you have this just slow, for me, relaxation, realizing that everyone is actually on pretty much their best behavior. And everyone is, when Shane's like, we should just be honest with each other. You're like, but then like, okay, we go from I like you to, as you say, whispered I love you in Russian to professed I love you from Ilya, and the holy shit from Shane. So that pause, that moment of like, I mean, and then Shane coming through with like, I love you too. And then it's just sort of like, everything's okay. Everything's okay. It
was so perfect. In that I love you moment, the pause that you're noting, and then also what I really loved was like, does it fucking kill you too?
Yeah.
That's what Shane says. And Ilya's response is, not anymore. That's when even though we do then get the tension with this dad spotting, which I had the same, like, oh no, because it's the fact that they've been discovered in, as Shane says many times, this isn't how I would have wanted you to find out. Like, this isn't how I thought this was going to go. the fact that his dad just like leaves, right? He walks out. You're like, maybe he'll be standing on the porch. You hear the car turn on, and I'm like, oh no. My heart was racing and pounding. And yeah, I think the gratitude that it doesn't mean, like you said, that there aren't going to be challenges and difficult circumstances in the future in season 2 and beyond. It doesn't mean that there won't be other people in their lives, inside of hockey, their families, anything else that doesn't go this way.
Right.
But the fact that the conversation they had at that table was ultimately one of like an embrace and love. And again, with the humor stitched in of like,
no loyalty to Boston?
No loyalty to Boston. And like, Ilya, I'm surprised you have such a reputation as a ladies' man. You know, I really loved when Shane followed his mom outside, and it was so heartbreaking because she's out there, she's tearing up, and you know, he opens with an apology basically for being who he is. You know, he says, I tried really hard, but I just can't help it. And of course, like we talked about last pod, there's this moment that you have, that Shane certainly has, that readers or viewers would have, of like, not only the fear of what will the response be, how will Shane be received by the people closest to him in his life, but almost like regardless of what the answer is, the understanding of like what his life has been like, where his parents obviously love him. They adore him. He's clearly the most important thing in their worlds. They say to him, like, you know, we thought it was kind of possible that
you might be. Yeah.
You might be gay.
Yeah.
It's not like it had never occurred to them or anything, but you know, that he is like the pressure.
That's followed up with his dad being like, we know you pretty
we
well.
Know you pretty well. Like, you're our son.
You're our boy.
But that he wasn't sure, like, will that stand? And then, you know, so his mother responding instantly to that, like, you have nothing to, why are you apologizing to me? I'm the one who should be apologizing to you for making you feel like you couldn't tell me who you were. And that was just lovely.
What I loved about that is it's actually quite similar to the conversation that happens between Kit Connor's character and Olivia Colman in Heartstopper. It's a very similar, tearfully apologizing to say, I'm sorry if I made you feel like you couldn't tell me. Almost identical language from both of these mothers. And like, I love that as a messaging of not like, it feels like steps forward of not like, I accept you, or I need a beat and I'll figure out how to tolerate this, or whatever, you know, whatever the sort of like earlier versions of these coming out scenes have been. And now we're in a space of just sort of like, I'm sorry that I made you feel like you couldn't tell me this earlier. Is like such a beautiful idea to see represented across these multiple shows, queer shows in the 2020s. So
I really agree. And I think like, you know, the moment where Shane's parents ask like, so are you guys just going to keep this quiet until you retire? And they're both like, probably. And what's their response to that? Not like, okay, great, good. Well, we're on the same page. That's so sad.
And not only, once again, my apologies to Una Hollander, like not only, like my fear was that she would be afraid of the brand. She's like, actually, I'm going to
reach out to some of the premium brands. They're going to be thrilled.
They're going to love this. So
they're going to see
I was like, great. Wow, what the fuck do I know?
She didn't miss a beat. She's like, we need a statement prepared in case something leaks. Going to check in with Rolex.
While Ilya is shoveling linguine into his face.
He's the best. The wearing the Boston Raiders shirt. Yeah. Shane's like, really? And he's like, they don't know I play for Boston.
They don't know I play for Boston.
And then the pasta, all of it. It's just, you know.
Also, when Shane's like, maybe you should stay in the car, and Ilya's like, he doesn't even say anything. It's just like, on the food front, I want to go back to something, which is the burger scene.
I have a thought on this as well.
Two things. I will lay this out to you. Three things, actually. This is my three-pronged conversation starter. Number one, friend of the pod, Katie Rich, reached out to me to say, on the product placement front, she's like, generic condiment bottles, not even product placement money. And I was like, actually, I thought that was like a rich person thing, that he had like decanted his relish into like bottles that matched the other. But
interesting.
She thinks it's like they didn't have money to pay Heinz or whoever. That being said, there was a pickle. We did get an email when we were talking about the tuna mill thing, about there was like the
Boston pickles,
a pickle that made its appearance known. Katie and I both agree that the burgers looked terrible. And I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what? Shane, who's been eating macrobiotic for a decade, I don't think he knows how to cook. And I think he's trying. He needs a burger recipe. He's trying because Ilya made him a tuna melt, and like making food for someone is like a way that you show love and affection and comfort and hosting and all this sort of stuff like that. And my third point on the subject is to say, when they're coming up the walk later and talking about what to have for dinner, and he's like, "Do you want hot dogs? I have to defrost them." I was like, "Frozen hot dogs?
Yeah, sure. Well,
what are we doing?"
Well, in Shane's defense, on the frozen hot dog front, I will just offer up this. So this is early in the 2 weeks still.
They've only been there a couple of days.
I retract the comment before even sharing because it's early enough in the week. But I wonder if, so he says, one of the very sweet things he says because he picks up Ilya from the airport, which was so cute, first of all. So like, I went grocery shopping. Right. So like, we don't have to go out. There's a practical element to all of this, but also, as you said, I'm preparing to host you and make sure you have what you need. And so I wonder if he was just like, I've strategized, I've sketched out the flow of meals for 2 weeks, and like fresh meat's not going to last that long. I've got to put at least some stuff in the freezer. But then Ilya's like, I don't want the leftover pasta. I want the hot dogs.
If he had said, oh, I got to thaw the chicken. Oh, I got to thaw the steaks. Oh, I got to thaw the pork chops, whatever.
Yeah.
Hot dogs?
This is fair. This is all fair.
Hot dogs can last in the fridge.
This is totally fair. I think you're right that Shane is not a master chef.
This is my theory. I think Ilya is the chef and Shane is not. That's what I think.
Shane, I think, certainly as, he's entered this phase of his career, obviously they're both loaded. This was the other thing. I had been wondering earlier in I'll come back to the burgers in a second, and the product placement. Actually, these are great shout outs from you, because I had another thought about the product placement elsewhere. Earlier in the season, I actually had I did have a moment on the hockey sports celebrity front where I thought that the absence of they're free agents and they have moved into another tier of wealth I was surprised, actually, even if it was just a quick beat. Rosenoff re-signs with Boston, and Hollander, of course, re-inks with his mom's favorite team, a Metro for life, etc. So when we got the discussion of free agency, there's no way they're still on their rookie contracts. Just simply too much time has passed. Obviously, with the original
team
contracts,
captains at this point, right?
The endorsement deals. I mean, they've won the cups. They've both won MVP. We're a decade in here. But to get to the point where this is, Ilya's deal is about to be up again, that just the math of that. I loved the callback to your real estate fetish really paid off, because we've seen the kind of progression of their dwellings. All of that was great. Shane has gotten a stylist. I would assume, would have a personal chef. I'm just throwing that out there. He would have long since had a personal chef. Now that guy wouldn't. I would say that person wouldn't be invited to this private retreat.
No, I would say from rookie season, he's had someone making him macrobiotic things in glass Tupperwares that sit in he's meal prep. It's meal prepped.
Yes,
it's refreshed every couple days. Yes. He doesn't even talk to this person. It just shows up in his fridge. 100%, I believe that. But you can be that person, that meal prep person, and still have a cooking hobby. But Shane, who just sits home alone and reads with his little glasses in bed, and drinks ginger ale, is not that guy. So he doesn't know how to store hot dogs in the fridge.
And he doesn't know how to cut the recipe in half to do math.
Exactly.
Like Ilya says, great moment. That was very funny. Here's my note on the burgers. In addition to that, I think this show is just an absolute jewel, a gem of a show. There's not a world where two professional hockey players can't eat 8 burgers. There's not. There's no way
Especially since the burgers were not massive. They were
There's no way they can't polish off those burgers. There's just no way.
I think that's a great point. Here was Katie's note. She's like, does Canada only have bad burger buns? So, listen.
Yeah, it's all fair feedback. I love a good burger. I love a grilled burger at home. I just want to say that Shane Hollander is living my real estate dreams. We are, the two of us, we've long since bonded over. We live in Ocean Vista.
My main source of crying this episode was all of the wood inlay and in the very glass, lakefront cottage dream that was this house.
Gorgeous.
Oh
I think my only note on the home, and then I will come back to the product placement. My only note on the home. Primary bedroom tad small. That's it, though. Other than that, absolutely perfect.
Well, this is
Lake House Dreams.
This is one of my misnamed cottage. So, maybe he's like, keep the footprint small to preserve cottage
That's
vibes.
true. Yeah, the charm and the intimacy. I actually like that because, as we know, it's canon. He had it built.
He did. And I love that progression too. When he says he has it built, we already know that Ilya knows that, right? He's like, I know. But then later he brings up the yoga to be like, yeah, I watched your cribs, my guy.
I needed help falling asleep. Another You're So Boring shot. Just one of the great through lines of the season.
Is it EA Sports? What's your
It is, correct. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for knowing that would be it. Now, obviously, as we talked about last pod, this is in the show, not the NHL. The league has a different acronym. However, the fact that this was not just overtly EA's, and it wouldn't be NHL, they could have photoshopped the other league name, but the fact that they didn't have the EA Sports on the video game, and Adam, I was really trying, tapped in Adam for the video game controller because the EA NHL line, it's PlayStation or Xbox. We didn't get to see the controller in full from the front. They looked like a more generic. I don't think they had either the game or the console.
Season 2.
So that was the product placement that caught my eye. Season 2. Get in there.
Get on that Stranger Things level of we're selling bugles, baby. Product placement. You deserve it. All right. I want to talk about this scene that was the source of both of our sort of minor details, the toe-to-toe sort of moment. And I just want to use it as a moment to really underline something that I've been trying to champion, which is Connor's story is getting a lot of the attention in this. But I want to talk about Hudson Williams and his glistening tear eyeball action.
It's next level. It's astonishing. Yeah.
Paul Mescal in Normal People is some of the best cry acting I've ever seen in my life. But Connor Waldron is a weeper, right? Shane Hollander is I'm not showing you my emotion, except I have a tell, which is that my eyeballs are gleaming, right? Yeah. And I talked about this with Richard. This was one of my favorite moments in the scene in the bathroom when they're both at the award ceremony and they have this exchange. And Ilya walks out and Shane just gently wipes the tears from under his eyes, but they're not streaming down his face. And so I think Shane thinks that he is playing it very cool when Ilya says, I could marry Svetlana, for the passport. And, and he's like, oh, interesting. And rewatching the episodes as I just did in the last 48 hours to get Diana caught up, there's just so many moments of that for both of them where it's just sort of Rose Landry, she is that why you've got a personal stylist? What's going on? This
you jealous,
burning jealousy that they're both trying to play off as not something that they're entitled to, but inside of that scene, because that scene ends with the toe touch, as you mentioned, but also the don't marry Svetlana, we'll figure something out. Finally he feels entitled to say something in episode 4 when Ilya's I like girls. They're beautiful. They like me. I fuck all of them, and Shane's yeah, I know. Great. Yeah, I also like girls, whatever. And now he can just be don't marry Svetlana. We'll figure it out. And then he will sit up all night to figure out an elaborate plan that involves Ottawa and a charity and all these other things. But that just I really think Hudson is getting overlooked a little bit for the subtler work that he's doing. I think they're both extraordinary, but I just want to make sure that Hudson is not going unnoticed for the work that he's doing here. So
cosign. I think they're both sensational. And, again, I think the fact that we started with them in very different places and have watched their respective and shared journeys has just been one of the more rewarding parts of the show. Even we talked about this a lot last week, but it felt so present in this episode too. Shane, obviously we saw this in episodes 4 and 5. Ilya was the one who started this all, right? And if not for, as we talked about last pod, the where he's from, Russia, the fact that he has that hanging over him, he says to Shane last episode, I could never go home. He, from the start of the show, the start of the story was more ready to say, this is who I am and this is what I want than Shane was. Shane's journey is the journey of discovery. And Shane is the one, though, inside of the evolution of their relationship who gets to the point a little sooner where he's like, what are we going to do about this? And so then the balance of that across the episodes in the season, and it felt really perfect to me then because that's where we were with Shane, that Ilya was the one who said, I love you first. And it's just this like beautiful choreography and rhythm and dance. Like that feels true to life to me, you know?
Who's the one step in front of the other person in any given scene, and that they've sort of just been doing this like two steps forward movement over, as you said, a decade.
Yeah. And like, Shane is the one who's like, let's be honest, and summer before, exactly. But then Ilya is the one who says boyfriend first and in front of Shane's parents. It's like, it's all perfect. I really agree. I think that that Hudson's performance and the what he is conveying with a look or an eye glisten is very, very powerful and gripping, and like there's a magnetism for us as viewers, and certainly obviously also for Ilya. The scenes, that same scene that you're identifying where he's saying don't marry Svetlana. I love that what is paired with that performance from Hudson Williams and what we're seeing from Shane in the scene, which is, as you just beautifully articulated, this like, what am I showing and what is someone else able to like clock about how I feel? But what is Ilya saying to him in that moment? It's like, here's the problem with all of these other women that I could marry. It's not just they're not you. He could just say they're not you, but that's not what he does, right? I'm always thinking about this slow fucking hockey player with beautiful freckles and a weak backhand. Like it's just a boring car, right? He's like,
but beautiful freckles.
Beautiful freckles. Like that's a thing you say about a person you are deeply in love with. So that's just all great.
One other thing I want to mention is upon rewatch is, we get these two conversations about Ilya's mom inside of this episode, the sort of telling him about her, about how her mental health issues, about, I don't want you to think she was weak. She was so beautiful. She was so funny. Like, this is just someone who was so important to him that was taken from him when he was 12. And then like, we've seen his brother, we've seen his father, like he was just left without that source of like warmth and love and kindness, like since then. And then later when Shane is like, basically like, we can have our charity be like sort of basically in her honor, Connor Story's delivery of like, she would have loved you, just absolutely destroyed me. But rewatching it, there's an early in, I think it's episode 4, or 5, I think it's 5 actually, when Shane asks about his mom and he just says like, she died, I was young, like keeping it really like, this is the amount of information you have access to. And also inside of those episodes, the like, you ask too many questions shut down from Ilya to Shane. So that progression of like, ask your questions, I will tell you. These you are now allowed inside of this boundary that I've drawn around myself and like basically Svetlana, like inside of my life. And so I thought that was like a really beautiful, again, like deepening of intimacy between two people.
Same. That was one of my favorite parts of the finale. I've already mentioned the I love you moment a few times. And I think the way that Ilya initially turned away, because he's like, is that what you want?
Right.
Is that what you want?
And I was like, is he going to reject this? Like, is that what you want? Is he like, and then it was the other, it was the opposite.
Yeah. And like turning away because he doesn't want it. He's not even right then for just another microsecond. Like, can he see the tears? Yeah. And then when Shane grabs his face and turns his face toward him again and they kiss, and the way he kind of chokes out that I love you. That was breathtaking to me. The quiet whisper of she would have loved you. Like, that was when I was like, he should win an Emmy. Like, he really should. So I agree. I think both performances are incredible. I thought that like some of the deliveries from Connor Story in this episode were just like really, really, really powerful. And I love what you're saying. And I agree. It's like, again, they've known each other for so long, but that's part of how we understand. And I love we as viewers are learning something new about Ilya too, that is helping to inform and shape our understanding, like of his experience and his loss,
why
and
he's an asshole,
who he is, and why he is the way he is, and like, for Shane to be able to understand him more deeply, and for Ilya, as you know, to be ready to share that with him. It's just. And I liked that, like, Ilya's family and his mother then is like, but she's present in this experience with them, because so much of the episode obviously orients around Shane and his parents and his family. So,
but also
really
like,
great.
Watching Ilya at the table with then Shane's parents and like being able to like talk to Shane's dad about the vodka or whatever, and you just like see the future, and then they're going to like have chicken and salad and beer together. And you just like see a future where Ilya is welcomed into this family and has like that family that was that warmth and comfort and intimacy that had been denied, by his shitty brother and his father. I'm going to wrap up pretty soon. I just want to hit a couple other things before we go. First of all, I want to say
window blowjob, phone call blowjob. No, that's not where you're going. Okay, carry on.
Both incredible stuff. I mean, the window being like, no, we're not pulling the shades.
Yeah, we're not
like,
pulling the shades.
This is not what we're doing. Great stuff. But I just want to. We got a ton of emails and the most popular subject actually. Was the needle drop in episode 5 was like something that people were really, really struck by. And I thought that was really interesting. It was like a reason Justin Sayles told us he was like watching Heated Rivalry was the Wolf Parade needle drop that plays for Scott and Kip, which upon rewatch is the song that Scott is listening to in his earbuds when he runs into the smoothie shop for the first time. Like when episode 3 started on my rewatch, I was like, oh, it's the song. It's Scott and Kip's song here at the beginning.
The best.
That Elena in episode 3 says to Scott, quote, "He deserves sunshine and so do you," which is like, the refrain of that needle drop. And I agree with like all the people who are writing in about that song, which Jacob Tierney has talked about as a song that like has been very important to him and his life. This is a very like Canadian. I think Canadian sleaze is the genre of music that I've seen it identified as. Anyway, we did a musical moments episode on the House of R feed recently, and that wasn't about needle drops. That was about sort of like more diegetic music. But if we were to do a needle drop, maybe not of the quarter century, but I would say of this TV needle drops of this decade, I would be tempted to put this on there because this is such a perfect selection of a song that now forever I will hear and think about this TV moment. With love and respect to the tattoo needle drop. I already had my associations with tattoo. So like that's taken. But this I'll Believe in Anything by Wolf Parade needle drop, I just think I loved how many emails we got about it. I thought that was that's like awesome. Pretty extraordinary. We also got an email from a listener who just like wanted to enumerate, nitpick all the lovingly nitpick all the things that's wrong with the hockey. And I'm not going to go into it because I have some pressing horny questions for you, but I just want to say this is exactly the kind of email that I love to get, prestigetv@spotify.com, when I get like expertise from someone and they're like, well, actually those helmets, well, actually those sticks, well, actually this, with love, with like a loving celebration of the show. It was a great email. Thank you, Christian. Okay. So here's my question for you, Mallory Rubin. These are 2, actually sneaky 3 questions here for you at the end of all things.
Okay.
The 2 that we prepared is number 1, what is your favorite moment of yearning of the season?
Other than us for the lakefront cabin. Certainly Scott looking up in the stands after winning the cup and seeing Kip and deciding to call him down is tough to top. But for me, the answer is also from episode 5. It's the phone call. It's the yearning in both directions. The emotion in Ilya's voice as he speaks in Russian and shares all of his deepest thoughts and desires in Russian, but not yet in English. And Shane, his face, his closed eyes, the concentration, the fact that in that moment it is so clear that the thing they both want more than anything in the world is each other, and they're not quite yet able to say that out loud. That is just this beautiful portrait of the yearning tendrils, that desire, the longing to be with someone else.
Mine is, I think yours is the right choice. I will say on rewatch, Ilya's complete crash out over the Rose Landry, Shane,
Yeah.
like tabloid stuff. And when he gets off the
Very
exercise
good.
bike and like stubs his toe and just like screams about it because he's like so upset and he's like stub my fucking toe, right? But he's just like so mad about this thing about yearning for someone who's in the public spotlight. So you have to like see all
Yeah.
of this. I just thought that was really good.
I love that.
And then Mallory Rubin, professional horny person. Favorite sex scene or horniest moment of the season?
Oh boy, crowded field. What a gift this show was on the spice front.
This
My
is
God.
why, I mean, here are your, no. You have like a whole mountain. I was going to say your twin sort of pillars of strength, but you have like a whole mountain range of strength. So it's hard for me to narrow it down to two, but I will say access to emotion and horniness are like among your many, many, many skills. And so this show is just sort of like built for you. And this is why people demanded your presence here on the feed. So yeah, sex scene of the season, horniest moment, Mallory.
Oh God. Thank you for saying that. I'm going to update my business cards, or I would if I had them. Professional horny person. Okay. So I'll take the prompts separately in two parts.
Okay.
The horniness and the sex scenes. Obviously, horniest moments and sex scenes are certainly entwined, but I'll take them separately.
Oh, a smuggle.
For a reason I'll explain. For a horniest moment, I'm gonna just go with the first two episodes, like the early stretch. You know, that first like legs open wide, sweaty water bottle sharing scene into the shower
what I think
sequence.
It is. I think it's summer before rookie season, sweaty neck. Like the camera just like lingering on the sweat on Ilya's neck, essentially.
Like the pulsing in your pulse in the neck as it glistens.
I would say that's like one of Jacob Tierney's horniest moments. Like real horny camera work from Jacob Tierney. Really good stuff.
Yeah. The show doesn't cease being horny from there, but I think that's tough to top as the pick for horniest moment. Okay. For like favorite sex scene, I'd like to thank you for what you just said about the twin pillars or mountain range. It's apt because my selections for sex scenes will track that progression. I am going both early and late here for that very reason. The thing that I loved so much about this show, but I think the way it's obviously just, again, very like erotic and sexy and thrilling to watch the sex scenes across the season. I think the way that we evolved from lust into love, not that lust ceased being present when love entered the chat, but that organic evolution inside of the relationship that you could then feel in the intimate moments was really, really, really expertly deployed. So on the sex scene front, episode 2 had many all-timers, but the journey of discovery.
If people are unfamiliar with Mallory's work on House of Art, this is classic.
Smuggle
where
City.
She's just like, I'm just gonna run through them.
Smuggle City. I won't chronicle them all, actually, believe it or not. But in episode 2, we have a lot of sexy time in episode 1, but then in episode 2 we take the next step, right? And Shane's first time. That scene was just really, really memorable and really, really great. Then, of course, in that same episode, at the end of the episode, we get the post-award show, Ilya in the chair drinking, Shane in bed across from him, and Ilya saying, touch yourself, show off for me, I want to watch you. That stretch at the beginning of the season on just the lust and like, we need to fuck and we need to tear each other's clothes off and we need to touch.
I saw a social media post of a fan who had a t-shirt made of that scene and then had met Hudson Williams and showed him the shirt that was just like Ilya in the chair and Shane on the bed. And I think Hudson Williams said something like, oh, I'm touching my asshole, or like something like that.
It's iconic. The best. So that obviously has to be here. Yeah. And I think this journey across the episodes from I need to touch you, I want to explore you, but also I want to help you understand and discover like who you are and what you want, into I know you and you know yourself, which is where we are in episodes 4, 5, and 6. The episode 4 couch scene, the post tuna melt scene, where Shane leaves immediately after, what that represented for like where they were with each other and where their relationship had gotten to and what it meant for Shane and what he was like, how he was processing that. Just very memorable.
I would like to identify that couch scene as a real moment in my rewatch this last couple days with Diana, because I like paused it and I was like, I would like you to tell me what you believe is going on here. And then we were both like, we're just sort of like trying to, with our hands, figure out exactly. I understand that this is a thing. I knew that, but I've never seen it done personally. And so to like, even though this very Canadian, it's on HBO, but it's a Canadian show, has not shown us full frontal on anyone, that's okay. I don't need it. But like, so it's all out of frame. Right. So then we're just getting like implications in that particular moment. But it was just like a really funny like pause. Let's have a conversation about the mechanics of what's happening right now. That I would like to identify as one of the hornier moments of the show, but a very emotionally intimate moment as well. Yeah. The first trading of the first names sort of moment. So,
that was great. What are your picks?
I mean, I think it's the, the scene that sent me to urbandictionary.com to figure out what the phrase that I should be using here is. So I mean, what a great fucking show. I will also say I really enjoyed the artistry of the Ilya is jacking off in the shower. Shane is trying to have sex with Rose, but they're like staring down the camera.
The end of episode 4. That was great.
Cut across, so they're really like fucking each other, even though they're not fucking each other. I thought that was like a really good moment. Like briefly, again, we're running a little long, but briefly, any season 2 thoughts, feelings, wishes, desires that you want to share?
Just that it start tomorrow.
Okay.
Like, I know that's not possible. I know that's not what will happen, and that we will likely definitely be waiting until 2027 to resume our time with Ilya and Shane.
I will say this. They have churned out seasons of Letterkenny and seasons of Shoresy. So there is a non-zero chance.
Late 2026?
That we could get, especially since it's like
that'd be great.
6 episodes made, I mean, the budget will increase, but made rather cheaply. Like, I think Jacob Tierney could give us this for Christmas 2026. If he wanted to.
What a gift that would be. So I just can't wait to be
back. You
want
the Ottawa, Montreal sort of like. Yes, I do.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to decide if I'm going to read the books in between, which
I think we should.
I think probably we should. Not only should we will. I think we will. Maybe we'll start tonight. So that'll be a different experience, which will be fun. And I feel like the Hudson and Connor are just going to be in our lives every minute until then, which is great. They're both so famous so quickly, which is really fun and really well deserved. They're on the cover of the Hollywood Reporter. They have a GQ hype issue. Like, it's all happening, and it's amazing to watch. So I hope not only that season 2 is with us soon. I can't wait to be back with them and continue their story. But I'm also like, you and Richard started talking about this in your mid-season check-in. Like, the casting directors are paying attention. What else are they going to be in? How quickly are they going to be in our lives and other things? Like, it's just been wonderful. And, then we get on the Tierney front, we get another season of Shoresy soon. Like, it's great.
We're living.
It's the best.
I want to flag when Shane was no bad ideas in a brainstorming what their charity should be. And he was like a summer camp for kids, essentially.
Yep.
And then thinking about that scene with Ilya with the kids in the pool and like how like actually very charming that was, and thinking about Ilya's relationship with his niece. Like, I'm gonna have a trust for my niece when he's packing Svetlana is like, remember the things for your niece. So like Ilya and kids is like a thing that I'm excited to see more of this like really sweet like side of him that was like oddly touching in the pool, but like while teasing Shane at the same time, like when that pool scene happened. And so just like that being something that they do every year together as a possibility is very exciting for me. More Scott and Kip, other characters from the series being introduced. I was talking to Katie and she was saying like, because earlier she's like, I don't see how they do a season 2. And then she saw the finale. She's like, okay, I see how they do a season 2. She was like, but how do you recapture the like will they, won't they, the yearning, the like first sexy, like, you know, all that sort of stuff like that. And it's like, it's true that that kind of tension is out of the story, but can you capture it with another like new couple from the series that's like part of it while we continue to be emotionally invested in Shane and Ilya.
Yeah, but also like, what is it like for them to take that next step in their relationship?
No, all of that is like good and interesting. But if Heated Rivalry has a reputation of like, here's the horny yearning show, that's a little different than perhaps. Yeah. But maybe all the book readers are sitting at home being like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I've read the second Ilya and Shane book and I know it's great. And I'm sure it is. Okay. Thank you, Mallory Rubin.
Thank you.
Happy holidays. If you want
you.
more from us, we've been covering Stranger Things over on House of R. We also got some like end of year stuff that we did on that feed. So we spend hours and hours and hours every week talking to each other. So my understanding from Justin is that these Heated Rivalry episodes have been perhaps an exposure to a new audience that have not been listening to the Prestige TV feed is possible. So if you've never, this is a thing we do. We talk to each other a lot. It's called House of R. It's a great podcast. You should go listen to it. Thank you to Devon for working on these Heated Rivalry episodes.
Legend.
Absolute legend. Experiencing Heated Rivalry by listening to us talk about it rather than watching it. My apologies for that. Thank you to Justin Sayles, you know, for catching up with Heated Rivalry and all the rest. And as I mentioned, Rob and I are wrapping up Pluribus. We might have like an extra Pluribus episode for the end of the year. We'll see. And we'll see you all in this feed in the new year for the pit and industry and everything else that's coming in January. All right. Bye.